Well, welcome everybody, whether you're watching this live online or on a video on YouTube. So thank you for joining in. We have a discussion really briefly on general versus specific training and also how to change groups. What's a good time during the season to think about changing groups? Do you want to go to a faster group because your fitness levels have increased dramatically? We're going to talk about that today. But first, let me share my screen with all of you. Whoops, share screen. And here we go. Good. Hopefully all of you can see this slide. And there it is. Good. So like I said, the first thing we are talking about is general to specific training. What the heck are we talking about? A lot of people talk to me about, well, I do strength training, wonderful, and I play tennis, and I do CrossFit, and I do all these different things. Well, early season, that's called general training. General training would also be referred to as cross training. It could be swimming, biking, running, well, not running, that might be more specific, but general training would be anything pretty much but running at marathon race pace. Marathon race pace running would be real specific to marathon training. And that's really more later in the season and not even that much. But you definitely want to start. It's definitely okay and good to start with general training. You want to get all the muscles in your body as best as you can, firing, stronger. Like I said, strength training, great thing to do, especially early season. Thinner people like myself need a little strength training the entire season. But this graphic is really defining. You can do more general training early season. As the season progresses, you go more and more to the back little Q triangle sort of, and you're doing less and less general training, and you're doing more and more specific training. So like I said, general training could include anything, swimming, biking, tennis, bowling, volleyball, whatever it is, especially if you're on your feet doing it. Although I find swimming is a great way to loosen up your hips. And really, if you want to talk injuries, you're almost usually talking from the hips down when you're talking injuries. So it's a good thing to loosen up those hips. Swimming is a great way to do it. So I love to swim for that reason. When I'm really tight, I'll jump in the pool and do a bunch of laps. So that's really it for general to specific training. But also I want to talk about the season itself. With all of this is general to specific is about the entire season. Last week, we talked about tapering and how you build 3 weeks and then you taper 1 week and then you build 3 more weeks and you taper a week. And generally speaking, you're going up and up and up and taper and up and up and up more and taper and up and up and up more and taper and on and on and on. And we have 6 phases, we call them, which are generally 4 weeks of build and 1 week of taper, right? 3-week build, 1-week taper, and that's one phase. We have 6 of those, which is basically really 6 months of training, 6 phases, essentially. So after you complete 1 phase of training, after the next 4 weeks, because we just keep in mind, we just finished our first phase of training, right? Where we are now on the first week of our second phase of training. So in 3 more weeks, really 2.5 more weeks, in 2.5 more weeks, we will again have that 4th week interval taper, it comes every 4 weeks. It will be the 4th week of the second phase. So basically, here's the problem. You don't want to build up and up in volume and then go to a faster group where you're also adding intensity. Because the problem with that, if you're adding intensity and you're adding volume, your energy output, the amount of force that you're using throughout the entire week is increasing dramatically now. right? We're already normally increasing at a pretty high rate at a little less than 10% each week, which is considered to be okay, but you don't want to go much more than 10 to 15% because then you're risking injury. So if you do that, if you're increasing your volume about a little, for us, it's a little less than 10% each week, which is very safe. But if you're also then increasing intensity on top of that, so your energy output for the week is now skyrocketing above that 15% energy output for the week. Now you're risking injury. So you don't want to jump to a faster group in the middle of a phase. You want to wait till we taper. You know, our fourth week taper is like 40 to 50% less than the week previous, than the third week of build. Hopefully that makes sense. So that fourth week where we're dropping 40 to 50% off of what we just did the previous week, that's the perfect time to now reassess and say, hey, wait a minute, you know, I'm feeling so good. Let me try it. Because you're not going to be risking anything because the volume is way down. And you will even note that in some cases, our intensity levels are even higher. You'll note we went to run a mountain during our last week's Saturday taper week. We ran up a mountain. We didn't just run up a hill like Amalfi, we ran up a darn mountain. So that's a little more increase in intensity, but we had so much less volume for the entire week. Maybe not the Saturday was the same, and this was the only Saturday, because it's such low volume, where our Saturday the week before and the Saturday last Saturday were the same, even though it's a taper week. But the entire week did actually plummet about 40% less. If you noticed, all of the times midweek were way lower. So in what did I say? 2.5, in 2.5 more weeks, we will be at our fourth week taper. Is that right? We have 3 weeks. Yeah, 2.5 more weeks. We will be at our second phase and our second fourth week taper. That's a really good time to say, hey, you know, wait a minute. I could really go to a faster group now. Going to a slower group, you can do it anytime because now you're lowering the volume of intensity throughout the week, the volume of energy output just by going to a slower group. That's fine. That's fine. You can do that in the middle of a workout. You know, you see, you want to stop and wait for, you know, if you've had a tough week and you've been stressed out all week, that's energy output. You can only use so much energy per week. So if you show up or you're getting over a cold or you haven't drinking enough water or whatever it is, if you show up at a workout and you're just not feeling it, you know your energy output is higher, your heart rate is higher, you can always just stop in the middle of a workout, wait for what I call the next train of people to come along and, you know, stick your thumb out and jump on the next train, you know, the next group of people, which will be a slower group because we do launch them in, you know, by the faster to slower. You may note we do not leave. Our road runners do not leave. We are launched. Just saying. With that, let me just ask all of you, do you have any questions about that? If you don't, I will turn off the recording and we'll open the floor to any questions you have about anything. But does anyone have any questions about this graph or moving to another faster group at our fourth week? Our fourth week of any phase of training, our taper week. Anybody, any questions? No. Well, in that case, let me check our chat. Nope, nothing there. Let me turn off our recording. And for those of you who are live, please stick around. For those of you who are watching the recording, thank you for watching this recording. And we'll be back with another one, hopefully soon. Take care. Thank you. And good night to those watching the recording.